So we are back, season 2, of course, on the couch with me, Brendt, Happy Folks, Stalin, Bosch, and today, of course, I've got another phenomenal artist and guest, Jean-Marc Meyer. Jean-Marc, thank you so much for joining me today, man.
Thanks, Brendt, for having me.
Yeah,
Amazing.
multi-talented, man. Composer, producer, you're a guitarist, singer as well. Firstly, before we get to all the lacquer great questions, where are you from?
Yeah, so I was born in Paarl, actually, Western Cape, and then grew up in Wellington. And I would say late middle years, high school years, primary school years, I believe, maybe grade 8, we moved to the northern suburbs. And then for the remainder of my school career, stayed in Brackenfell, got married, and then moved to Durbanville. So I'm situated in Durbanville currently.
Married, and you look so young.
Yeah, thanks. I've been married 10 years. This year, actually, the 2nd of August, the same date that I did my first vocal single release. We had our 10th year anniversary, and such an amazing experience. I think the first couple of years was quite difficult, as I believe with any marriage, But I think after 10 years, that's where the love sets in,
I have to say, dude, I like the name Jean-Marc Meyer. Is that your stage name or is that your actual name?
Yeah, that is actually my name. Funnily enough, my name actually is a French name, Jean-Marc. But my mom actually had this crush on Jean-Claude Van Damme before I was born. Yeah, and then my sister, I'm actually one of a twin, but my
cool.
Yeah, my older sister actually liked this guy across the road. He was a teacher, and his name was Mark, and they just decided to take the Jean and the Mark and put it together. So
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Multi-talented, as we just mentioned now. You compose, you produce as well, you perform as well.
Yeah.
When and where did your career evolve as a musician? Was this always the path that you wanted to go into?
Yeah, I never had the foundation as a child to pursue music. I wasn't exposed to it. But in my, I'd say, grade 10 year in high school, I met this one friend. He started to play guitar. I saw him play 3 chords. I think it was like Badman Rising or something. And I just thought, oh my word, this guy's the best in the world. I need to also start playing the guitar. So I actually borrowed a half-size guitar from another friend. I went to another friend. I borrowed a book that contains all these guitar chords. And I taught myself.
Wow.
Up until the age of 18, a matric year, I really wanted to pursue music after that. My parents couldn't take me for studies. They couldn't afford the studies. But praise God, I actually prayed that a year. And about 10 months later, in October, I took a gap year. I had a businessman, a wonderful businessman that sponsored me to go study at the campus of performing arts. I studied for 1 year, but I actually did the 2nd year in that 1 year because they actually put me over. Because in that gap year that I took, I would just, try to teach myself everything about music as much as possible. And so just as that progressed, I joined this band. As I joined this band, we toured, basically throughout the Western Cape. We had television experiences, playing, at TV shows and things like that, which had a gospel foundation.
Yeah.
And then right after that, I had to quit the band. I just felt in my heart I had to move on for the next season. I actually got word to do that. I started to serve under a church where I joined the worship team and did everything, But just to get back to the production side of things, in this process of my music career, I would pick up different instruments. And I was also kind of prompted by my leadership in church at that time to take up new instruments because we didn't have enough people. So I would just take up the keyboard, or pursue different instruments, So that's why today I'm a multi-instrumentalist. But I started my my music business in late 2015 after I did a normal job, completed my studies. My mom said, Buta, you have to go work now because we need, rent, we have to pay rent, you have to support. And so what happened was I actually started to work, quit that job because it was such a long hours. It was a normal job, working on cars, actually.
Wow.
And then, step of faith, took the last 200 Rand I had in my bank account, printed business card, put in petrol in my car, and then later on, God opened the door for me to actually go and teach at a school, a private school, music, and then also build up a client basis. Now, the production side of things really started where I started to serve in this church, and I got the opportunity to actually do music, but also among music, it wasn't just always music. It was serving, cleaning the
Yes.
offices, And one day, just because I believe it's being faithful, as a believer in God, you have to be faithful in serving God, and He rewards those that diligently seek Him and is
Diligently
faithful in
seeking,
the
yeah.
kingdom. And so what happened was, one day my pastor came up to me. He said, "Listen, here's the keys for the offices." We had a studio in the office. Teach yourself everything about production. And I taught myself everything. I would sit there until 4
Amazing.
o'clock in the mornings, teaching myself. And I was building tracks for the church, worship team, and things like that, until I had people telling me, "Wow, can you make a track for me?" And that obviously was the kickoff for my music production career, because that obviously gave me more accountability and reason to put out content that's professional, also in church, but also, for up and coming artists. And I started to produce more, and up until 2024, where we're at now, I've just been consistent teaching, performing, and also then producing. Yeah.
Absolutely fabulous, man. It's so inspirational and inspiring to hear your sort of journey. And of course, going from season to season. And of course, you are full time now
Yes, full-time
as a
musician.
musician. Is there
Yeah.
anything in your journey that you would change or maybe would like to go back and turn maybe here or there? Or are you happy the way the journey went up until
Yeah.
now?
I think in one's life, you kind of, as you are younger, you tend to be a little bit more naive, and sometimes you put false responsibilities on yourself, which is not, designated, distant responsibilities that you have to put on your life, and so that actually causes us to lose a lot of time in our life.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying that I did lose a lot of time, but I think if I could, I would obviously try to invest more time into my craft, and also just in pursuing more things. We always want to strive to excellence.
Of course.
There's a dividing line between excellence and perfection, and so we always want to be excellent and always want to enhance our craft. But I'm
Yeah.
happy for the season where I'm at, and I believe that it's God's grace that enables us to do things we could not do in our own ability.
Yeah.
And this is just what I've been experiencing in my life now. So, interesting, and if I may mention this, God can restore, what you have maybe lost in 10 years within 6 months. So I believe that there's a reason for every season, because you are actually learning things along the line to
Yeah.
prepare you for,
For what's
the goal
coming.
and what's coming. Yes. So it doesn't always have to be music. It can be something that's not always related to anything about music, but it's just a principle that we are, have to learn in life. So yeah.
Favorite genre? What is your genre? How would you describe your sort of genre? Like,
Yeah, awesome. So actually, I started as a rock musician, a contemporary pop musician. But then, as soon as I went into church, there was this one guy that later on came in. His name is Allo April. He's a fantastic guitar player. He's a legend. And I kind of like sat under him. I couldn't play what those guys were playing because it's a different world. But as I
Yeah.
sat under him, that opened up another world for me in the jazz world, and also understanding a little bit more about how to play with your ear, and pick up things easily. So I combined the rock world with the jazz world, and
and you
would
fused.
fuse it together. So I would say my favorite genre of all time would be definitely fusion, and also including traditional elements such as East Asian elements,
Yeah.
or African elements, and just
Cool.
combining that, into one kind of unique sound. Yeah.
Currently, who's your inspiration? If there's maybe one person that you
Wow.
really look up to and say like, that guy or that girl inspires me to do music, that sort of thing.
I think, music especially, and talking about inspiration, is not just the musical side, but also just the journey that person had to undertake.
Yeah.
And also the sacrifices that person had to make in their life. So I will always go back and give credit to whom credit is due, and especially those that have imparted into
Invested.
my life. It would firstly be, Allo April, him specifically, and then also, believe it or not, my pastor, which is also a great singer.
Yeah.
But just because he's got a great ear, and he also, learned to develop me. He
Yeah,
developed
yeah.
me just by giving me good advice. Even though I was the one that was playing the music. And then there's obviously, a lot of newer upcoming artists that's trying to stretch the boundaries. I can mention a lot of names. but anyone that really has a unique sound, a unique take on things, because there's so much music out there. It's oversaturated with everything, you know.
Yeah.
So if there's something new and it really clicks, then I'll definitely, you know, draw from that. Yeah. So can't mention all that names, but there's definitely a few out there. Yeah.
Fantastic, man. And then Jean-Marc, to wrap up things this morning, it's so inspirational and inspiring for me this morning as well. It's inspiring me as well with my own personal journey.
Yeah.
Goals for 2024. There's still a couple of months to close down 2024. Is there anything specific that you would like to achieve for 2024 still?
Yeah, currently I'm working with an artist by the name Johnny Davids. We are working together on basically building his album and his repertoire, as we want to use those songs within live performances, you know, like little worship events and things like that. But also I want to obviously pursue pushing out my own music. Since I released my own first vocal single recently, I've done instrumental music in the past. I want to obviously try and release more vocal music in English and in Afrikaans. And then also, I believe just, you know, taking the colors that I have as a artist, you know, and trying to just color in the visions for others. You know, I'm always trying to stretch my boundaries in terms of genres and styles. So I like being challenged with different music. So if there's anyone that obviously wants a production, then, you know, come to me, you know, and obviously I'll try to do my best as a producer for that artist, you know. So yeah, definitely that. Yeah, and also just, you know, generally growing in God, you know, and just being obedient.
Absolutely fantastic. Jean-Marc Meyer. Thank you so much, man, for joining me this morning.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And I wish you all the best, especially for the rest of 2024 and, of course, your career further.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Well, that's another wrap. Jean-Marc Meyer, of course, you heard it from the man himself. You know, let him know if you want to produce maybe a very cool song as well. He's your guy, composer, producer, multi-talented. That's a wrap on the couch with me, Brendt, today, powered by Happy Folks, Stellenbosch.